milestone. The number of global infections has now surpassed 500,000, and here's another shock. The United States now has the most cases of any country in the world, more than 83,000, which means it has surpassed China and Italy. In Canada, more than 4,000 people have now tested positive, and though social distancing is expected to help in the coming weeks, right now the virus is still spreading fast. In the face of that, frontline workers around the world are running short of protective equipment. In Canada, some hospitals are already rationing masks and warn a severe shortage of things like masks, gloves, and other protective supplies is imminent. Today, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau promised help is on the way.
And in the coming days, we will be receiving millions more items that are necessary right across the country.
Back in February, it was Canada that was helping others. The government sent 16 tons of personal protective equipment to China when cases of the virus were surging there. Now, it's the Chinese who are preparing to send us supplies. Our chief political correspondent, David Aiken, has new details tonight.
When China was scrambling to deal with the initial outbreak of COVID-19, Canada stepped up to help, sending all kinds of medical equipment to Hubei province.
We recognized from the very beginning that this is a global crisis that requires global cooperation and response if we are to keep all of us safe.
Indeed, and China is thinking along the same lines, because now that Canada is scrambling to contain its own outbreak, China is stepping up and is preparing to send Canada millions of items, ventilators, surgical masks, shields, and so on. In the meantime, the Canada Revenue Agency, or CRA, is revamping its website to accept applications for the new Canada Emergency Relief Benefit. It will pay those losing income because of COVID-19 up to $2,000 a month for 4 months. It's a massive job. The CRA expects as many as 4 million Canadians to apply when the CRA web portal is up and running sometime around April the 6th. The Prime Minister and Premiers also hammered home the new mandatory self-isolation rules that are now in effect for those coming into Canada.
All travelers, if you're coming home, you must go directly home and self-isolate. I think it's critical that people fully understand that. That is not stopping at the grocery store. That is not stopping at the post office. That is going directly home and isolating for 14 days.
And there are consequences.
If you do not comply with these instructions, you could face serious fines and even prison time.
So, David, a tougher message again today, but what about travelers who arrive on planes or at a land crossing who are sick? What's happening to them?
Yeah, lots on that today. Well, those who are sick and can make it to their home in their own private vehicle, they can do so, but they have to register with public health authorities, and they are going to get regular visits to make sure they are staying in isolation for 14 days. Now, those that arrive at the border with symptoms who can't make it home in their own vehicles, and this would include those who arrive on an international flight who need to make a connecting flight to somewhere else, well, they're going to stay right where they are, and they will end up in a government quarantine facility, likely an airport hotel for 14 days. Right now, though, very few travelers in that situation. Dr. Teresa Tam said today there's just one person in Vancouver and one couple in Quebec in that situation, Donna.
David Aiken in Ottawa, thank you. Here's where Canadian infection numbers stand tonight. More than 600 new cases have been reported across the country. Quebec reported the biggest spike, 290 new cases, bringing the total in that province to more than 1,600. In Ontario, there are now 858 confirmed cases. Of those, 20 people are on ventilators in the hospital. In total, 39 people have died. Many of the most recent cases are in people who have returned from travel, including from the U.S., which now has the most cases in the world. Yet the American president is considering sending troops to the border with Canada to protect that country from us. Our Ottawa Bureau Chief Mercedes Stevenson broke this story. Mercedes, with this surge in cases in the U.S., all the people dying there, how is putting troops at the Canadian border supposed to help?
Well, Donna, a lot of Canadians and Americans question how it would help. What I'm being told by sources is that the U.S. president and officials in the White House believe that it would help to detect people illegally crossing the border from Canada into the United States. Now, there's not a lot of people who do that compared to the number who cross from the U.S. to Canada, but with the COVID-19 crisis, President Donald Trump and his officials are saying that they don't want migrants with quote-unquote diseases as a leak to Border Patrol memo called it, coming into the United States. So they want to deploy the military along the border to help make sure that doesn't happen. President Trump was asked about this at his press conference today, and here's what he had to say about why he's thinking about deploying troops along the border.
Well, we have very strong deployments on the southern border, as you know, with Mexico, and we had some troops up in Canada, but I'll find out about that. I guess it's equal justice to a certain extent. You know, we have a lot of things coming in from Canada. We have trade, some illegal trade that we don't like, and we don't like steel coming through our border that's been dumped.
Donna, a lot of people on both sides of the border very concerned about this proposal. Historically, the border has been non-militarized. That's something that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said he thinks is in everyone's best interests. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland using much stronger words, saying she believes that this would be unnecessary and damaging to the relationship. I'm told that Canada has been pushing back very hard against this in private, and so have a lot of officials in Washington who think this will be damaging to an important relationship with an important ally.
Mercedes, do we have any idea what the U.S. troops would do near the Canadian border?
So this would be under 1,000 troops, and they'd be deployed about 30 kilometers from the border. They'd be using remote sensor technology to pick up people who are crossing the border. Then they'd feed that information to the U.S. Border Patrol agents who'd be able to go out and interdict these people. They're not allowed to enforce laws themselves as U.S. troops, but they can provide that military intelligence to border agents to try to capture people who are crossing illegally. Donna?
All right, Mercedes Stevenson in Ottawa, thanks. Jeff will continue to consult with experts and try to answer your questions. Send them to yourquestions@globalnews.ca. And on our website, you'll find a special page dedicated entirely to COVID-19. That's at globalnews.ca/coronavirus.